The five aggregates, a collection without a self. We saw how the key teaching of the first turning is that there is no such thing as a self, Atman. When we imagine a self, we never experience it. We experience the momentary mind and body and imagine it to be something which it is not. In order to counter this misperception, the Buddha taught three ways of looking at things as aggregates, skandha, entrances, ayatana, or bases, dhatu. There are different ways of characterizing the Buddhist teachings, but a common point of agreement is that it is the view of selflessness that makes the Buddhist tradition stand out. This view of selflessness means that where we feel that there is an identity of the person that continues, this only causes and conditions which are impermanent. So, this is where the aggregates, entrances, and bases, the skandha, ayatana, and dhatu, are presented as alternative ways to once again observe experience so as not to rely on that continued conceptualization of self, to weaken it, and to finally completely undo that kind of grasping. The aggregates are collections of entities of materiality and mind. Form, rupa, feeling, vedana, notion, samnya, assembled factors, samskara, and consciousness, vijnana. I have said materiality and mind. What I translated as materiality is indeed rupa, which we can also translate as form if we maybe want to be just slightly more respectful of the etymology. It refers to something similar to what we normally would understand as being material, which means something not sentient, something which doesn't have the ability to perceive, which is the fundamental feature of the mind, whether it is the basic mind or whether we are referring to mental states, secondary mental functions. So the idea is that there is a continuum of causes and conditions which result in certain effects, which in turn function as causes and conditions for newer effects. And all of these entities fall either within materiality or within sentience, mind. Form, rupa, refers to materiality as a whole. This is regarded as tiny particles that arise and cease moment by moment. When I say tiny, we mean partless. Particles that cannot be in any way further divided. That's what I mean by tiny. Indeed, according to some, they don't really even have extension. The most basic elements of materiality are called earth, water, fire, and wind. These refer to solidity, moisture, heat, and lightness, motility. So we use those names, but not in the same way as we use them conventionally. These names have a more precise referent in these ultimate particles. These four can only be touched, but never seen, heard, smelled, or tasted. An additional set of particles based on the primary four are the objects of the five sense faculties, meaning that there is one overlap with kaya, with body, which has this faculty of touch, but for the others, it's only the secondary particles which can be perceived, and also in the case of touch, besides these four, all the other type of tactile objects belong to the secondary particles. The other four aggregates are mental states and the basic mind. So, the first three, other than rupa, other than form, are mental states, and the last one, vijnana, consciousness, is the basic mind. Feeling, vedana, is pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral experience, accompanying every moment of consciousness. Notion, samnya, picks up an identifying sign of the object of perception, so that we may then think this is blue, etc., and also accompanies all moments of consciousness. Other mental states can occur together with a moment of consciousness, and these are called assembled factors, samskara. So these are the three that all fall under mental states. But due to their importance, Vedana and Samnya, feeling and notion, are listed as separate aggregates. Consciousness, vijnana, is the perception of the mere object without any further qualification. It is the basic level of mind, momentary and always arising in dependence upon an object. The object doesn't have to be material in the case of thought consciousness. This, a very brief explanation of what is vijnana, is in fact rather crucial, because we may very well use the word mind or consciousness and have an intuitive sense of what it might mean, but then when we study the Buddhist tradition, it is rather important to become familiar with what is meant by mind or consciousness. When we look at a moment of experience in terms of these five aggregates, we don't find a self. When I see a patch of blue, so we have this kind of conceptualization, I can find a momentary blue object and my sense faculty. These belong to form, rupa. I can find an experience that is pleasant, if it is a beautiful patch of blue. This is feeling, vedana. I can find the recognition it is a patch of blue. This is notion, samnya. Other mental states may be there, such as attraction towards that patch of blue, and these fall within assembled factors, samskara. And the most subtle element in this experience is the perception of that mere object, a moment of consciousness, vijnana. However, I can't find a self. There is no I, no fixed, singular, overarching identity, only a moment in the flow of momentary entities that give rise to other momentary entities. So within this flow of momentary entities, the conceptualization of a self also arises, and the grasping at a self also arises, and that makes those momentary entities non-liberated experience.